right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Hinckley Forum. My name is Arden Cook, and I'll be the forum host for today's conversation. The Hinckley Institute of Politics is a nonpartisan institute at the University of Utah. The Hinckley provides an array of transformative experiences for students through internships, forums, and classes. Hinckley forums seek to foster public discourse and civil debate on the most current and pressing issues, bringing in local, national, and international thought leaders. This forum is a global intern Q&A and is presented as part of the University of Utah's International Education Week. International Education Week celebrates the benefits of international education and exchange. This annual event, an initiative of the U.S. Department of State and Education, invites educational institutions to showcase and promote international programs that prepare students for a global future. At the U, this means a full roster of events that showcase a variety of ways our community can go global. Join us in a full week of ways to become a more globally minded citizen while at the U. Today's panel will be moderated by Global Internship Director Jean O. She'll be joined by students, past and present, who participated in a global internship. A global internship is for everyone, regardless of major or prior international experience. We hope to see your applications come in soon. I will turn it over to Jean O to get us started, but please first join me in thanking our guests for being here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your presence here today. Happy International Ed Week. I don't know if you all are aware, but that is what is going on around campus this week. So check out not only our forum, which is happening today, as well as Thursday for scholarship opportunities, because that is an entirely a forum in and of itself. You'll hear from Office of National Scholarships that work with students on scholarships like Fulbright and FLAS and other really big scholarship opportunities that you can use toward your global internship semester. And free money is always great. Money that you do not have to pay back. There's no interest. It's just people want to give you money to do great things out in the world. So come back on Thursday for more pizza and for more information on that free money, which is, thousands of dollars, you guys. So come back for that. But in the meantime, and I'll take questions, in the meantime, there are other activities going on around campus, like after you eat pizza here, go over to the Union Building for some dessert and some other opportunities to learn more about global opportunities there. A lot going on. Yes?
What time on Thursday?
Same time, noon.
Cool. And then how long is that event at the Union going?
It'll go until 2:30. And I will make sure that we do not go overtime here, 1 o'clock at the latest, even earlier if possible, so that you can maximize your time here and there. Any other questions? Thank you for those. Any other questions before we get started? All right, well, I want to start us off with just chatting a little bit for a few minutes with your neighbors to your left and right and maybe to the front and back about your answers to the quiz. And if you didn't take a quiz, if you just walked in, let me know. I have a couple extra here, and here. All right, so just take a few minutes, turn to either, all four directions and talk about your answers.
Eva, where did you go? I went to Paris. Oh, awesome.
What? He is because one didn't show. Well, he was a, yeah. Well, all right. Let's hear from some of you. Just go ahead and shout it out. When you hear traveling alone, what feelings come to mind? Excited? Thumbs up?
I said A and D. I would love to meet someone to travel with on the thing, but I'd be fine on my own.
Okay, so either way, you're good. Anybody else? Okay, how about have you traveled outside the U.S.? Quick popcorn of places you've been. Great. Awesome. Italy and Paris. Belgium and Thailand. Korea. I love it. You've been to so many places. And how about what kind of work environment do you enjoy? Go ahead, shout it out. Okay, working with people. All right. Ditto. You right. You might have to go together. Anybody else? All right. Moving on. How much experience do you have with booking lodging? Okay, we've got an experienced crowd here. Nope, none, zero. All right, so we're balanced. We've got the whole spectrum of a ton and zero. Awesome. And what kind of work environment? Oh, sorry. I skipped that one. What kind of work environment do you enjoy? Did I get that one or did I skip it? We did. Sorry. I'm working off of a very small image. Environment, experience. Oh, which animal best represents you?
The capuchin.
Okay. All right. Good. Is that how you say it? Capuchin? The monkey? Capuchin, capuchin, the monkey. All right. Anybody else? Panda. Falcon. Was it tiger? Okay, we've got the map. And which meal would you order? Fish and chips. Tandoori. Okay. Boy, we're hitting all the cuisines. I love it, you guys. All right. If you would just take your papers and pass them to the middle of the aisle, our global marketing or Arden will collect. Thank you. Yep, go ahead and pass them over. Thank you. And I will get back to you with oh my gosh, I almost skipped over the biggest question. So destination of your choice, of your dream choice, next one. If you could go anywhere in the world, money's not an object, where is your dream destination? The Galapagos. All right, I love it. Popcorn, go ahead, shout it out. Kazakhstan, Northern Italy, Poland, Tokyo. Anybody else? Anybody else? Oh, Southern Italy. We've got Northern and Southern. Southern France. Got a host office for you. As a matter of fact, got a host office in most of these places. Awesome. I'm so glad that you all are enthusiastic, that you came, and hope the quiz questions kind of got your juices flowing and dreaming about your next destination and participating in a global internship. We had record numbers of interest signing up on our site, and so I thought this would be a really good way to do kind of a big communication presentation and answer a lot of your questions, as well as give you some information, pertinent information, for your process of becoming a global intern. And to that end, I have invited our global intern alumni, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves with their name, the host office where they went, the location, the city and country, and just a brief description of what it was they were there to do. And let me pass it over the mic.
Actually, we all have mics.
Oh, you all have mics? Okay.
Yep.
I'll let Chase take it away.
Okay, so my name is Chase Perry. I went to Princess Tagrid Institute in Amman, Jordan, which is an institute that supports rural mental health and women's rights in Jordan, helping parents and teachers in orphanages understand the stigma behind mental health and how students with autism or Down syndrome or other developmental disabilities can receive resources and help for something that they may not otherwise have an idea how to treat or help students and kids and orphans integrate into the rest of society in a country like Jordan. And for them, they have a lot of different projects going in the country, and so they have a lot of different cafes and restaurants that help support their nonprofit organization arm. And I did a whole bunch of data analysis for them, understanding their inputs and their outputs and their profitability on that and how that tied into the rest of their organization.
My name is Ashton Pelly. I went and interned at United Way in Sydney, Australia. They run the Dolly Parton Imagination Library in Australia, which gives children who sign up a free book every month from ages 0 to 5 to promote early childhood literacy and kindergarten readiness. They also partner with other organizations around the greater Sydney area to put together school supplies for more disadvantaged students in more disadvantaged communities. I specifically worked on the corporate partnership side, so a lot of how United Way Australia is able to run is through their partnerships with different corporations around Australia. Like, they are housed in a massive telecommunication corporation building, and yeah, just like figuring out like major donations, major gifts, and things like that.
Hi, so my name is Eva, and I intern with Eagle Condor Humanitarian in Cajamarca, Peru. What they specialize in is giving self-reliance classes to low-income communities, which at the end, when students graduate, they help them with giving them all the materials they need to grow their community business. And they also provide English classes to communities and children. And my specific job was to give classes to the community 2 times a week. And so I was in charge of making class material, and I also was assisting my supervisor in giving his classes in different rural communities.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Nick Cockrell. I did my global internship longer ago than these three. I interned in London, United Kingdom, with a member of the British Parliament, which was such an incredible experience for me and opened my eyes to a lot of different perspectives that I still lean on today, or that I still use and utilize in my job. Things that we were doing there, I was overseeing constituent relations. So really, I got to hear the perspectives and experiences of normal, everyday people in the constituency that my member of parliament represented. And just to hear how many of those issues were similar, but also how many of those were so different than what I might have expected was so eye-opening. And yeah, I grew so much during my internship and encourage everybody else to do the same. I mean, just seeing what professionalism looks like in a completely different setting. I find that if you are very comfortable or getting comfortable in your field or what you want to work in, throw yourself in a global experience, because the entire like dynamics are shifted. Things that you think are norms maybe aren't norms there. Different, even like phrasings of an email that I think are professional and appropriate here, they might say, why did you write it like that over there, right? Like it just helps you grow in so many ways. And yeah, I appreciated my time there.
Thank you all. So going off of what Nick said about growing, and I so appreciate that Nick was not only a global intern and student staff here at the Hinckley Institute, but then he became a colleague. As you know, he organizes and reaches out to our community partners to develop our forum calendar. So he's an integral part of our staff. So thank you for sitting on this panel as well as an intern. Going back to what you were saying about growing, a global experience, not just internship, but a global experience is transformative. I know I had my first global professional experience as a teacher going out to international schools and leading professional development workshops for teachers, and then actually doing some lessons as an example of that workshop with their students in the classrooms and things like that. And it transformed the kind of teacher I became back home in Los Angeles, where I was a school teacher in inner cities. And so not only professionally, but personally, it was transformative in the way that I engaged with the local communities out there in the world. And even just simple things like the foods that I tasted and tried, the markets that I visited, and things that I was drawn to, even just the color patterns and all of that. So would the four of you take just a few minutes to talk about what were some ways that your mind was blown? In what ways did you grow as a person, as a professional, or professional to be by engaging with the global community and your host office out in the world? And don't feel like you need to rush. Give yourself, a few seconds to think. And let us know, how did you grow?
I guess I can start. So I think one of the main ways that I grew was definitely on a personal level. I think one of the hardest but best lessons I learned while I was in Australia was that you're going to have life experiences no matter where you are, whether those are good or bad. You can ask Jean. I had a situation where I had to move housing very quickly, but I realized that yes, I was on my own, but I was able to get through that. And I think because of the support system that you develop back here with the Hinckley in Utah, but also the network that you will inevitably get in Australia or wherever you do your internship, the network I had in Australia, they're here to help you. And I think realizing that really helped me personally and professionally. I remember when I told my internship supervisor that I had to move and that would probably affect one of the days at work, she offered to take the day off to help me and things like that. And so really learning that you have people who care about you and want to support you in all corners of the world was such an incredible thing to realize. And I think it helped me both on a personal and a professional level, knowing that you have people who want to support you and want to support your global education journey.
I guess I can go next. So for me, I think it was more personal. I think I discovered new things about myself. So for example, teaching, I honestly thought I hated teaching, which apparently I do not. When I was in charge of creating lessons and all that stuff, I learned that engaging with this new community that wants to learn and looking at their faces when they understand something, their faces of delight or happiness, it made me realize that I actually love teaching. And that's why when I came back here, I got my TESOL certification so I can teach English to communities. And also I learned to be more, I guess, grateful for what I have and to notice that what I think is normal here or is something of every day is actually not over there. And it's actually over there they might need it more or they think it's more special. So I grew to be more grateful for what I have. And yeah, to be more open-minded because you're going to get surprised a lot once you go to another place. For example, over there in Peru, they guinea pigs. It's a typical, food. It was surprising to me because I did not know that, and it made me more open-minded because, like, you know what, let's just try it, and it was actually pretty good. So, yeah.
I can go next.
Yeah.
For me, I think it was already a lesson I'd learned before, but it was just a really big reaffirmation in my whole trip while I was in Jordan, while I was living with the host family, was sort of our shared humanity and the fact that we all really want the same things from life. And so while I was there to have an internship, the personal connections that I gained were so incredible. I think I have about 1 billion anecdotes in my mind of all these different stories and things that happened. But I remember one of the most powerful memories I have in my head is sitting in the front seat of a taxi with like 6 people, and this old, terrible, clapped out, smelly taxi with a cigarette smoking driver who was telling us about his childhood in Nablus in Palestine, and disconnecting the geopolitics from the situation and hearing someone's personal experience is one of the most powerful things you can do when you're abroad. Hearing somebody else's connection to a piece of land or to culture or to history, it changes the way you think about a person or a region or a bit of politics. And so hearing him play a song talking about his home city, and we're all crowded in this smelly taxi and having a great time, was powerful, I think, in a way that it reaffirmed all of the other experiences I had in the country, connecting with random people, hanging out with random Germans in a cafe, smoking hookah at like 3 in the morning, and something you think you'd never do. Sorry, Gene.
No apologies needed.
And then, I wandered through Petra by myself for 2 days, and the things you find out about yourself when you're all alone in a different country where you might not even speak the language. You have your own connection to the people around you, your own connection to that land, to the culture that you've just discovered. And it's the most beautiful thing, recognizing that humanity is all really pieces of the same thing.
I mean, building a little bit off of what Chase was talking about, one thing that I've learned from this experience, I'm somebody who was born and raised here in Utah. So a lot of my community, I went to school here, college here, got my master's here, right? I've been here long term, forever. But by going and working abroad and building these connections in a new place, I mean, yeah, they were so strong when I was there. But what I've learned over the years is how deliberate you have to be, speaking from professional standpoint, maintaining professional connections, but also your personal connections with people over there. You have to be deliberate in reaching out, touching base, just sending a message or an old photo that you had with them and say, hey, thinking about you, like, thank you for everything you did for me then, how are you, right? Something that simple. Or sending a quick update about how your professional life has changed or what's new with you. Or if you ever have the opportunity to go back to that place, absolutely hit those people up. Sometimes I think we as humans feel a little hesitant, at least I do, I'll speak for myself. I still feel a little hesitant like reaching out to somebody that I haven't talked to or seen in years, right? I say, maybe they don't want to see me. I don't think that's true. I think, like building off what Chase said, like you have these connections with people and people come in and out of our lives for short periods or long periods, but just be deliberate in maintaining those. So I'm grateful to say, like, even though I didn't reach out to some of my colleagues over in the United Kingdom for a couple years, I'm glad that I kind of took that leap, sent an email initially to connect with them, just see how they were doing, and they did remember me, right? The fear is maybe they don't remember you. That's why you have to be deliberate, the sooner the better. And then when I went to go back and visit the UK earlier this year, I got to connect with some of my old friends and colleagues that were over there. And you never know what doors those open, right? My good friend who was over there with me in the United Kingdom, she got a job offer to go work over there. She didn't end up being able to take it because COVID ended up throwing things for a loop. This was about 5 years ago. But like things like that come your way and you never know what happens. So be deliberate in maintaining those connections.
Thank you. As you heard from some of them, being really open-minded, especially because you never know what's going to throw you for a loop, is really important and critical as global interns. I will tell you, Ashton had one of the most challenging situations, both personally with her housing situation and professionally with her office, the entire structure just kind of changing drastically without going into too much detail. And she just took everything with flying colors. She stayed calm and was optimistic and just continued on to a successful, thriving finish of her global internship. And like she said, it's both the support system back here at home, as well as the new system of support that you will build out there by making those connections and with intentionality and being deliberate to make those friendships and connections. That's really key. All right, I'm going to skip through the rest of the questions that I have, and I'll save them for the end if we have time. I'd like to open it up to you for any questions you might have, some things that you're curious about, maybe specifically to one or more of them, or generally to global internships in general that you have in mind. Questions? And Arden will pass on the mic.
Hey, so I'm studying Arabic, so I'm interested in doing like a global internship in like the Middle East. And I was wondering, like, are there opportunities for students who are studying languages to practice their languages over there, or due to like the nature of like the internship, you're mostly just going to be communicating in English? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about that.
So I think my internship would have been twice as good if I'd spoken Arabic. The whole team in the office spoke English and Arabic, but all of the field work going out to orphanages, nobody in rural Jordan speaks anything but Arabic. And so I would have been able to go on a lot more trips around the country and the region if I'd known more. And so I would absolutely say that on top of your professional capabilities growing as an internship, the best possible thing for any sort of language acquisition is going to a country where that's the only thing you're allowed to speak. Or, yeah.
To answer your question, yes, plenty of practice. You're immersed in the language, so it would be an awesome internship for you. Come and see me.
Questions?
It sounds like there's a bunch of different programs. I was curious as to how did you guys select which program you're going to choose? Did you go based off a profession or a job, an internship that seemed appealing to you? Or were you going more for, I want to go to this specific region? And then I guess, do you have any advice on how would you decide? How do you think you'd get the most out of the experience?
Also, would you mind stating your name for me, please? Because I've met some of you only on Zoom, and you look radically different from Zoom to real life. Sorry.
Brady Brown.
Brady. And? Abigail.
I'm happy to start this one. I said I'm happy to start, but remind me just the gist of your question. Oh yeah, how did I choose my program? Yeah, okay, I did have an answer to this. Yeah.
What do you think is more important? Do you think it's more important to get to a program that kind of goes along with your career, or kind of looking for experience?
So for me, I kind of had this pretty clear idea that I wanted to go somewhere in Europe. I was a student of 20th century European history and politics, so that was international studies and history were my home here academically on campus. So I knew I wanted to go there, and I knew I wanted to do something related to government or politics or history, right? So I ended up shooting big, and I was really grateful for the support of Gino, and also worked really, really hard on my application. I said, hey, the UK Parliament kind of merges a lot of the things that I'm super interested in. Politics, there's so much history, working in Westminster, of course, and I'm geographically in an area and close to a lot of areas that I'm interested in. So that's what I looked at there, but I was open to new experiences and new places as well. And this is something, not necessarily my own experience, but I know that we always encourage students, and sometimes students who have the best, absolute best internship experiences abroad end up going somewhere or maybe working for an office that they hadn't initially thought of or didn't even know existed, right? Maybe you never thought in your life that you would like going to Australia, but maybe it ended up being your favorite place in the world for the rest of your life because you got an internship placement there. So for me, yeah, I was very lucky. I ended up shooting for the thing that I really wanted, and I don't regret it one bit. It was an amazing experience, but a lot of my peers that did it around the same time as me, as well as a lot of the students who have I've worked with subsequently, have had no regrets of like taking that leap of faith and trying something new.
Well, I can go next. For me, it was more like budget-wise. Initially, Peru was not my first destination, or anywhere in Latin America, honestly. But I really want to travel like Europe or anything. But for me, budget-wise, I couldn't do that. So, and then I discovered Eagle Condor Humanitarian. I learned more about it. It really interested me because it's something I never thought about or never learned about, and also it's a country where they speak Spanish and I speak Spanish, so I'm like, okay, it's not gonna be too hard language-wise, and it's within my budget, so why not? Let's go to Peru, and honestly, I do not regret it. I'm glad that I chose Peru, and I wish I could go back sometime.
Yeah, for me, I just really tried to keep an open mind about literally everything. Australia definitely was like just a leap of faith. One day I was like, okay, well, I want to go to Australia, so how am I going to make this happen? Before this, I was the director of the Fiji Pantry, so I knew I wanted to be somewhere in the nonprofit world. I really enjoyed that work. And even though like children's literacy, childhood education, like I really didn't have that much experience with it, I was still more than willing to like try something new. And I think I definitely got a new perspective on the nonprofit world, and I also had the added bonus that I personally think, and I know I'm biased, that like I was in one of the coolest cities in the world. And so I think it was a little bit of both, and I think Eva has also a good point of like it was definitely important to like figure it out like budget-wise, and I know Jean will probably touch on that too, but I think it definitely is a great thing to consider because global internships are super affordable. But yeah, I think just like giving an open mind, and I think sometimes like, I know that I would love to work in the nonprofit sector again, but I know of other people who have done internships, not necessarily global internships, but just in general, that they did it and they're like, wait, maybe I don't want to do this. And that experience is just as valuable as like reaffirming that you want to be in your internship field. So, yeah.
I think I had a meeting with Jean and I said, I want to go somewhere crazy. And so I originally started out with going to Guinea-Bissau. And I realized maybe that's too crazy to go to a country where I don't speak any Portuguese pidgin, with very, very little support or reliable internet or services or medical services for my first several months, on my own living. So we scaled it back a little bit to Jordan, and Jordan was very cool. And so the Princess Takrit Institute was not my idea, and it was the perfect opportunity for me nevertheless. And so I think that for me it was totally random. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and now I look at my work and my opportunities after grad, and I think I want to do something that matters because all over the world there's people doing something that matters, and I want to be a part of that.
Okay, we have one.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so I did want to ask a follow-up question about learning languages. So I'm potentially going to Germany. I guess that's kind of up in the air right now, but I don't speak a lick of German. I have mostly practiced in Spanish and like a little bit of Italian. So I just want to kind of broadly ask you guys, what's the best way to get started learning a language before you get there and you can like practice it while you're there? Joseph.
Can I start on this? So I lived in Germany. Germany's awesome because everybody speaks English, unless you're in the East and you're talking with old people, and then they don't want to talk to you anyways. So it's great.
I did know that already, but I do still want to like learn language just to like immerse myself. I think it would be cool. So I guess it's pretty low stakes for me, but
I would argue this might be a controversial take. I'm not sure what everybody thinks. I think Duolingo is not a very good resource for learning a language. I think if you want to keep up on your vocabulary, it's fine. But I genuinely think that the two best things you can do are work with grammar, vocab, and have a tutor. Someone who you can practice speaking with, even if it's terrible. Or if you can find someone who wants to like on a language exchange, someone who wants to work on their English while you work on your German. Those are really, really cool programs that exist.
okay.
Yeah, well, if I can. To put them with Chase, I actually went with someone. We did the same internship, and so, but she didn't speak any Spanish. And so she wanted to practice before we went there, so I offered to practice with her, to meet up and practice with her, and I think that helped her a bit. We did practice a lot of like grammar, vocab, and help her speak more, what's it called, like not like very formal language, more. Yeah, conversation. That's what I'm. More conversational. More. So that could also help. Like he said, meeting up with someone and practicing. That's really helpful.
I don't have much comment on this.
Yeah, as a learner of English as a second language, when you have conversations, it helps to have like a concept or a theme. When you meet up with your tutor, let's talk about, whatever, vacations, your ideal job, or so that you're not just hemming and hawing, but have either a question or a list of questions or concepts or topics that you can talk about.
I would like to ask another follow-up question on the concept of tutors and classes, since that seems to be a good resource. I think that would be best for me. Are there programs at the U for that kind of thing? I guess I could take a German class, so I could take a German class. Is there like a way to find private language tutors?
I'm sure, because German immersion is a thing in Utah, with starting from elementary. And so I'm sure there are tutors. Just a little bit of searching maybe on Google would help. Or even if you went to the linguistics department here, that they have professors who work on that German immersion whole program, and they might be able to give you some suggestions.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I think the linguistics program offers this like a program where they pair you up with someone who speaks German or is learning German as well. You can just fill out an application and then your information from them stuff, and then they pair you up with someone too. Yeah.
There you go. The resources that happen when we come together. All right, and I can't believe how fast time is going. I would like to cover just a little bit of the process and just some logistics so that you have some information that you can walk away with. The process is you apply, you get in contact with me. I am your person for global internships. I know it can be a little bit confusing because our program application sits on the Learning Abroad site, but you're not doing a Learning Abroad program. I have a ton of people that still go to the Learning Abroad office and want to talk about global internships. They will always refer you back to me here at the Hinckley, so just come and see me here or email, reach out, call, and we'll figure out a time to meet either over Zoom or in person, and I can walk you through everything. So the application is number one. Number two, when you finish your application, I send it over to our host offices. After our conversation, identifying which host office would be suitable or of interest to you, and then they will either just accept you. We have a list of host offices that are used to our Hinckley interns, and if you pass the university, vetting process through the Dean of Students office and the Hinckley Institute, which is basically myself, and we all determine, we're comfortable sending you as a university student abroad somewhere to do a global internship. We have a list of host offices that will say yes because they've been working with us for years. And so they won't even require an interview. They just take a look at your application and, it's a yes or no based on your application. And if I've, you've passed through the university, I have a list of host offices that have never said no to a Hinckley intern. So we have those host offices, and then we have host offices that say, I feel good about this applicant, but I still want to meet them just for a meet and greet. And those host offices too, 99.9% of the time, it's a yes. It's just a meet and greet. They just want to get to see you and hear about your interests and make sure that you're not coming from some left field, you thought you were going to be doing law work in, some nonprofit teaching English. So just to make sure that your interests align. And then I have host offices that, might want an interview and make a decision based on their interview with you. And so that's that process. And then after that, we're just working on your logistics. Logistics meaning visa, flights, housing. And flights and housing, think of it like any other time at the university. No one told you had to live anywhere this semester, right? Some of you are living in maybe residential housing. Some of you are maybe living off campus in apartments with friends alone. Maybe some of you are living with your parents. It works the same abroad. Global internship semester. No one's going to tell you where to live. I give you navigational support and I connect you with former interns who share their experiences of where they lived, and then you make a choice. Some host offices have housing either on the grounds or nearby, depending on their situation. And again, it's highly recommended if they have an offering. And as a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever had a student not take the offer of a host office. I mean, you have to pay for it, but you know, whatever is available, they take it. Otherwise, especially our Melbourne, Australia interns, I have a number of interns that go there. It's a hot spot for our global interns, and they end up pairing up or grouping up and sharing housing together. They go on vacations together, and so it's a money saver in every way because you're sharing costs, housing, transportation, food, vacations, and so there's that option. Visa, it's different for every country, and I'm not the, State Department expert. I am here to tell you, yeah, you need a visa for this country, but the application and all of that is on you. And of course, I will send you navigational support. I have links because I've worked with global interns in the past, but making sure that you fill out the application correctly with all the information that they require, that is on you. I don't fill out the application for you. You have to do that. And I have had students be denied visas because they did it incorrectly. So it's not automatic. Students get it, students don't get it. Students get it in time, students get it late in time. Nicholas can vouch for that. And it's just all over the map. It's not one process for every country, for every student. But I'm here to give you navigational support through it all. Not at any point are you doing this alone. Yes, you are responsible for following through with things on your own, like submitting the application for the program and the scholarships here at the university and maybe outside the university. That is on you. That's your responsibility to follow through on those things. But I will be your navigational support every step of the way. You're not doing this alone. I'll put you in contact with former interns. Most host offices that I work with, if not all of them, they're fabulous. They love having our interns. They love giving you support. And it's not only about professional support. I mean, you guys can probably vouch for this. They want to make sure that you're enjoying their country, that you're getting the best of the experience. So, some of you who might have never had this kind of travel experience abroad, and you might have that seed of anxiety, that low pit, in your gut, it's worth it. It's worth taking that leap and stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone because the returns, the ROI, it's huge. It's huge. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Were you able to find time to travel around the world? You got to live in for a bunch of weeks, and were you able to go out on your own and experience all that?
Great. Name?
Connor.
Yeah, I'll start really quick. Absolutely. So at least in my office, my supervisor and colleagues were very understanding about hey, this is an educational experience for Nick. We're not here just to get free or just to get help, right? It's an educational experience. We want him to be able to go out and understand the culture of where he's living, but also explore other places that are nearby. And so I absolutely did. I had weekend trips, I had day trips. It was lovely. I wanted to really get to know the part of London that I was living. So I spent time in local places with local activists or people who worked in government as well, just to see what day-to-day life was like. But yeah, absolutely got time to go out to other parts, and the world is easily explored, I think. If you're already somewhere across the world, why not just go a little bit further to try somewhere new? Because you're never going to be that close. Well, you might be that close again, but maybe not in a while.
I can echo what Nick said. I was fortunate enough that my host office also was like, please, we want you to travel. We want you to have these experiences. Like, let us find a schedule that's like super flexible for you. Like, if you're going to be gone, like, feel free to like make up your hours on another day or just work from home. So yeah, I was very fortunate. I got to go up to Brisbane, down to Melbourne, and then also all around Sydney. Like, there's so many different day trips and like national parks that you can go to. And I was really fortunate because also my host office gave me recommendations. Like, even if it was an entirely different city, I was connected to some people who worked in United Way of South Australia. And so they were able to give me all these recommendations. I got to meet them when I was down there and be able to explore and just not do, I don't know, I feel like this sounds really cliche, but not do like the super touristy things, but also like get some like lesser known restaurants or something like that. But yeah, it was definitely with the support of my host office that I was able to do that.
I'd say Amman is probably one of the coolest locations ever because you can get $90 flights from Amman to Vienna, or you can go to Dubai, or you can go to Egypt, or you can go to Cyprus for like $70 round trip. It's a really, really cool regional hub to go to Europe or go to the rest of the Middle East. Or if you're crazy interested in it, go into Central Asia up north. So I would say Jordan is a really cool location if you want to travel around. In addition to the rest of the traveling around the rest of the country, it's like $15 for a trip and back to Petra by bus.
Yeah. Oh. Well, with my host office, my host office does expeditions where they do a lot of campaigns such as like free eye exams, free dental work and whatever. But before the actual campaign, they take the volunteers to Cusco or Machu Picchu. And fortunately, I was able to participate in their expedition. I was taken to Cusco. I was taken around there. We went to see llamas and alpacas and touch them, feed them. It was beautiful. And Machu Picchu, great. If you ever get to go there, it's awesome. So, yeah.
Excellent. Some of the best updates that I get from Global Interns are these little excursions out. And we build your hours so that you're not working 40 hours a week. That's not the point of the global internship. We're going to have you in a cubicle for 40 hours a week, plus you could stay here and do that. The point of global internship is the global component. And so the host offices are all well aware of that. I'm well aware of that. The university is well aware of that. The course itself is built into it. And so you don't have to like try to like hide that you're taking the day off or do something like under the radar. But that is the global internship course. So please go and explore the world and have these experiences and then write about what you're learning and how your mind is blown, even just from what you're eating or playing with the koalas or whatever, because that is part of the course. Others, we're coming down to the last few minutes, so we have maybe one more. If you need to leave, please feel free to leave, but any other burning questions? Yes?
So I know it's like an internship, so I'm assuming some of it's unpaid, if not most of it, right? It's all unpaid. So, and you're not working 40 hours a week either. So I guess, would you have any advice how much money you would recommend for people to bring out to these trips, how much they should save? And, or are there opportunities to make money while you're abroad, right? You'll have a visa. So have you ever had examples of interns picking up like, another part-time job, working like 10 hours a week, just getting some extra spending money?
Yeah, excellent. Good question. Thank you. That does bring me to my next point. Most global internships are not paid because, unless you hold the passport to that country, right? Because you're a foreigner, and so they can't put you on their company payroll. But that's why the university that believes in these kind of signature, out-of-the-world experiences believes in you going out there and wants to support you. There are thousands of dollars available, you guys, in scholarships, both through the Office of Global Engagement. The Hinckley Scholarship is automatic. You'll get something from the Hinckley. You can't guarantee the amount because it's one pot split between all of you if you apply. But you do get something, and we try to make it as equitable as possible. The Learning Abroad Office has about 4 or 5 different scholarships. It doesn't matter if they say, oh, this is merit-based, oh, this is financial need-based, and you have to submit this and that. I will tell you, I know the committee. They look at your answers, like very carefully. It's not just, they're not just looking at numbers. They're not just looking at GPAs or, income or whatever. They're looking at your answers, and they really try to connect with you as a person. So apply to every single scholarship. Because if you only apply to one because that's the only one you felt like the description suited you and you don't get it, you're not going to be considered for anything else. But if you apply for every single thing and they get down to, okay, this student applied to all 4, but we said no to this student all 3 times. This last one, I think maybe we should give him something. Like, they're people, and they're, you know what? They're like good, kind, compassionate humans. I know them. And so apply to every single one of them, because chances are really good you're going to get something if you apply to everything. But if you only apply to that one that you think that you might qualify for and you don't get it because there's 150 others that applied for that same scholarship, you're going to walk away with nothing. All right? And there's also the Utah System of Higher Ed office. Oh my gosh, they have scholarships of up to $5,000, you guys. It's a brand new scholarship that started just this past academic year or last academic year, and they still have a ton of money in their pot. They want to give to Utah university students, and it's not only us; it's every university here in Utah. But I will say, University of Utah has the most number of applicants. We've gotten the most dollars from USHE than any other institution, and I want to take as much as possible and give it to you all. I mean, I'm not part of that panel, but I just want to send them as many applications from our university as possible. So there's a lot of money. So even though you're not on payroll from the host office, you do have opportunity for money. As for part-time jobs, I have had interns, obviously not take like official jobs that require payroll and work visa and all of that, but cash jobs, right? Part-time jobs, tutoring. Like we said, wherever you're going, unless it's Australia or Europe, if it is places like Oman or Asia, South America, they might be willing to pay a few bucks for half an hour of English conversation with you, babysitting. I had an intern in Sydney, Australia, as a matter of fact, a few years ago, who took on an au pair type of job and earned extra money on the side, au pairing. And just others, like manual labor, whatever. You can weed people's garden or something, carry in groceries for the elderly in the community, and earn a few extra dollars. However you remember earning your first cash dollars here, same thing abroad. You can earn cash dollars there. And it's whatever and I'm not discouraging anybody from doing that. It's whatever you can find. It's whatever you can manage and handle on your own. Others. All right, that just about brings us to our time. I hope to see every single one of you on a global internship. Thank you so much for coming. Remember the Union Ballroom, 30, and have a great International Ed Week. See you back here on Thursday.